2.5 years ago, the Warriors cut ties with Jordan Poole and sent him to the Washington Wizards, where he spent 2 seasons before going to the New Orleans Pelicans over the summer as part of the CJ McCollum deal. Now, with the February 5th deadline approaching, the 26-year-old could be on the move again. Jake Fisher of the Steinline listed the guard as a player that the Pelicans are willing to discuss. But it's not looking too good for my boy, man. Pelicans have made Jordan Poole available before the deadline. New Orleans fans were actually a little excited by the Poole acquisition over the summer, but the Pelicans' bad luck continued as he missed a few weeks with a quad injury. He hasn't helped them be competitive, which clearly the front office thought the team would be after sending a 2026 unprotected first-round pick to Atlanta on draft night. You can't blame Poole for that, though. His inconsistencies are a problem, as Wizards fans know. He shot 4-17 from the field and 0-7 from three, and the Pelicans lost on Wednesday to the Pistons. His most efficient game this month was a 21-point performance in a loss to the Magic when he shot 7-11 from the field and 6-8 from three. It was the second time the guard scored 21 points in 2026. He's also had 2 scoreless outings this month, so there's that. What's up, people? It's your boy KP, man, and we are back with another video. We're going to be discussing Jordan Poole. As you may know or may not know, I am a Washington Wizards fan, and Jordan Poole was on our team the previous 2 seasons. We kicked off our rebuild a few years ago by shipping off Bradley Beal to the Phoenix Suns in exchange for Chris Paul. We then shipped Chris Paul to the Warriors for Jordan Poole. We then traded Jordan Poole to the Pelicans for CJ McCollum, and then more recently we flipped CJ McCollum to the Atlanta Hawks for Trae Young. So essentially we went from Bradley Beal to Chris Paul to Jordan Poole to CJ McCollum to Trae Young within a span of about 3 years, which is actually insane when you think about it. And Trae Young may be a long-term fit, but as a Wizards fan, I do remember being very excited about Jordan Poole coming to our team. I know his last season with the Warriors wasn't his greatest, but he still was pretty productive. And you could easily blame the team chemistry and the results of what had happened on the team between him and Draymond Green as a result of his poor play and the poor chemistry with the team as well. But as a Wizards fan, I do remember being excited. And boy, was that first season of him being on the Wizards very, very, very disappointing. I can't remember a time I've been so disappointed as a Wizards fan, simply because my expectations were so high. Everybody thought that he was going to have that James Harden effect. Everyone thought that he was going to be something close to what Curry could have been, or at least play something like what Trae Young could possibly do for the Wizards when he's coming back from injury to join this young core as well. And then this past summer, I was actually excited for the New Orleans Pelicans because I'm like, okay, he's actually going to a more competitive team, a team with players that fit his timeline, a team where he doesn't have to be the number 1 scoring option. And I know a bunch of Pelicans fans were excited as well because you're thinking about, oh, having a pool party in New Orleans, man, that's a perfect fit. Him and Zion. And then the Pelicans made that trade for the 2 young bucks. One could learn from Jordan Poole. I'm speaking on Jeremiah Fears. He could learn from Jordan Poole. And then you got Derek Queen. He could learn something from Zion, with them being, rookies and all. And Zion and Jordan Poole may not have the most leadership qualities, but they are talented in their own right. But it appears New Orleans has found out what the Wizards found out in the 2 seasons that we had Jordan Poole, that he is just not cut out to be a starter in this league. At least he hasn't proved that yet. And he could be having a repeat of what he did in his first season in Washington, where he's just having a hard time adjusting to a new team and having a different role with different players. But at this point in your career, you should be more adaptable than this, and you shouldn't be playing as poorly as you have been, especially with extra talent around you. We even saw in the game where he returned to Washington, him coming off the bench. As soon as he touched the ball, the crowd started booing him simply because of the comments he made this past summer about the arena being dead and how he's looking forward to his season in New Orleans and hoping that the crowd is going to match bring more energy. I mean, we are literally to the point where we're seeing 11-point highlight reels from Jordan Poole. This season, he's averaging 14.8 points per game. That's his lowest since his second season in the league. and he's shooting 37.3% from the field and 33.8 from three, and he's playing 25.9 per minutes across 27 games, and he's only started 6 freaking times. Now, Jeremiah Fears is a rookie, but he is a dog of a rookie. I followed him throughout his draft process, and I always thought it was a weird fit with him and Jordan Poole on the team, but I thought Jordan Poole would definitely be a mentor for the young buck, but the young buck must have just seriously outshined him. And he probably came into training camp serious and very competitive and showing something that Jordan Poole actually lacked in himself. And then when Jordan Poole went out with that injury, you had no choice but to start the young buck, and he shined. And so did Derek Queen. When you combine the fact that with the fact that New Orleans put a lot of stock into their young guys and the team is playing very poorly, and they see that they might have made the wrong deal and that pick that they traded to the Atlanta Hawks might turn into a top 5 pick, you gotta know that there's some pressure in that front office. And if I'm in the New Orleans Pelicans front office and I see Jordan Poole playing the way that he's playing, and I see that the relationship with Zion Williamson is not getting any better, of course I'm just gonna go all in with my young bucks. I might, after this season, go into a full rebuild mode. I keep hearing talks about Zion Williamson is actually on the block. Jordan Poole, to say the least, he has been very disappointing this season. I'm not really sure what the excuse could be. I'm not sure if it's just the injury concerns. I'm not sure if it's the pressure. I'm not sure if he's just the type of player that needs to adjust to new environments. I'm not entirely sure. I know he puts in the work, and I'm not sure if it's just a similar thing where he just needs to work on his seriousness of the game and how he approaches it. All in all, it took half a season for former Wizards guard to play his way off of his new team. That is a feat. That is a feat. And now New Orleans may be listening to offers for Poole, but that doesn't mean that a deal will materialize, not unless John Morant forces his way out of Memphis and the Pelicans want him. They'd be better off focusing on their youth, building around Jeremiah Fears and Derek Queen. Let's see what they can turn Poole into if they're successful at moving on from him.